All right, welcome everybody. My name is Julie Brown. I am a independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. I'm going to be working on simple stamping. I think sometimes we get carried away with all of the fun products that Stampin' Up! Has, and don't get me wrong, I love them. I love using them, but we sometimes forget to stop and slow down and do some simple stamping. So tonight we're going to be doing that, and I am going to be using the same suite that I used on Tuesday, which is the Artistry Bloom suite, and that includes the hand-drawn blooms bundle. And so that's the stamp set is called hand-drawn blooms, and we're mainly going to be using that, but we will be adding paper because when you do simple stamping, it's about using the designer series paper and just stamping images. On the last card, I will be doing a little bit of watercoloring, which is kind of off from the simple stamping, but it's still a really quick way to get cards done and make them beautiful. So if you are new here, please make sure that you like my page. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure to subscribe below so that you know anytime that I go live with my videos. And also make sure that if you have any questions, you can just type in the comments. Let me know you're here. And I know this is kind of a different time. Hey, Susie. This is a different time. I usually do this a lot earlier in the day, so I may not have all of my regulars on here. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me switch it to the down view. And so this is the Artistry Bloom Suite. And so what it includes is all of this beautiful designer series paper. Let me move this out of the way really quick. And then it includes this really nice stamp set. And of course the dies. We won't be using the dies because we're doing simple stamping. If you guys want to see how I use these dies, go back on this Facebook page and look at the first one that I did because I used the dies on that one. And then I didn't have these the last time, but these are all the really fun little sequence that comes with it, and they are backed with adhesive. So those are really fun. But we won't be using those tonight either because, again, this is simple stamping. And simple stamping is about using minimal stuff to create beautiful cards. Hey, Shanine, glad you're here tonight. All right, so let's get started. I got to move all this paper, but I just wanted to show you the beautiful paper that comes. And of course, we have like, these are opposite sides. So this would be the front, back, so on. And then also part of this suite is this really fun rainbow glimmer paper. All right, so let's get going here. Let me get this out of the way. And you'll see I don't have my normal sheet down here because I'm going to be kind of stamping off a little bit. So hey, Carol, glad you're here. So let me go ahead and bring in a piece of scrap paper. And our first card, I am using the new Magenta Madness. And this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have a piece here that is, I believe this is, yeah, 4 by 5 1/4. This is part of the designer series paper. And then I have a Whisper White piece that is 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. And then I have the 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White for the inside. So let's get started. So the first thing, obviously, that we're going to do is we're just going to adhere this designer series paper to the front of our card base. And I'm using the, oh, I forgot, this one's almost out. The Stampin' Seal, the new Stampin' Seal. And remember, I've kind of told you guys that the best way to use this is kind of turn it as you're getting towards the end of where you want your adhesive to be. All right, so I'm going to turn this over and we're just going to adhere this. And I always adhere from the bottom. Other people do it differently, but I try to get the bottoms and the sides lined up correctly, and then I just kind of lay that paper down. All right, so let's get that out of the way. So now I'm going to bring in this, and out of this stamp set, I'm going to use this big stamp. So this is a really big stamp. All right, so let's pull that out. And I'm going to be using block E. I've started trying to tell you guys which blocks I'm using just so that you know. So then I'm going to bring in the Magenta Madness, and I'm just going to ink this up, and I'm going to be stamping off, and I'm going to do the right corner, the right side of this paper first, and then I'm going to bring in a different stamp set that I wanted to incorporate into this. And I'm going to kind of do some second generation stamping. And so what that means is I inked that up and I stamped, and then you saw me go ahead and stamp again before inking up again. Now what I want to do is I am in need of a bunch of baby shower, hey Mel, cards for baby showers. And so we're going to be making at least one that is a baby shower card, which is this one. So this is from the Wildly Happy. This is in the annual catalog, and I just love this set for baby showers. So I'm using the little bunnies, and this is block C. And again, I'm going to ink this bunny up. And then I want this bunny to kind of be down here in the bushes. And then I'm going to fill in here. But before I do that, I want to bring in the sentiment. Now, these sentiments are kind of made, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. They're specially made, and if you guys saw me on Tuesday, you saw how cool they are, because they fit in the middle. Let me bring in a card I did from Tuesday. So they're made to stamp this whole sentiment together. But in this card today, and a lot of the cards today, I think maybe almost all of them, I don't want to use the stamp together. So I'm going to show you another technique, which I've showed you guys before. And this one, I'm just going to stick this on block D, and I'm doing it at an angle. But I only want to use the congratulations. And so to do that, the easiest way to do that is to bring in Post-it notes, and we're going to cover this bottom part because I don't want to pick this up. I just want to ink up the top. So I'm just going to go across, make sure it's inked up. Now this is the most important part. Pull it off. I've done it before where I forget to pull that off and then I end up inking it up with that Post-it note on there. So I'm going to just place this about right there. All right, so then I have my congratulations on there because I didn't want the bottom part, I just wanted the top. So again, when you guys have your stamp sets, and even if they're sentiments that are written, you know, like just straight up and down, you can always just mask off part of that with a Post-it note. You can also color it in. I could have just colored that in with one of the Stampin' Write markers as well. Don't ever do it with the Stampin' Blend markers because those are alcohol-based markers and you don't want to use that on your stamp pad. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with this and re-ink this up. And now I'm just going to kind of fill in around this area. So I'm going to go into about right there. And then without inking back up, I'm just going to turn and get a little bit more there. And then again, without inking up, we're going to come in there. All right, so then that's what that looks like. All right, so let me close this up. This is one of those colors you definitely do not want to stick what you've been stamping. And because it's the red pinks and reds tend to stain your stamps more, so I try to clean those off as quickly as possible. All right, so let me get those three out of the way. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this in and I'm just going to center it on this page right here. Remember, tonight it is simple stamping. So we're just basically going to be using designer series paper with stamps and ink. I am kind of cheating on the last one because I wanted to watercolor a little bit on the last one, but it's still a simple process. All right. So then we're just going to come in here, try to center this the best that I can without leaning right over the top of it. All right. And then I'm going to come in for my inside. I'm going to come back in with this little bunny. And I just want I want to make sure I have the baby in it. So we're just going to do that bottom right corner. And then I'm going to come in with a sentiment from this Wildly Happy stamp set. Like I said, I've been needing some baby shower. And so this one has this really cute saying that says, "So tiny, so small, so loved by all." So yay! Perfect for a baby shower. So let me get that on a block. And let's see, which one does this fit on? I think it'll actually, this is block C. And it should fit on there just fine. All right. So I am going to use my graph paper, even though I don't have it taped down right now. And we're going to just come back in with that Magenta Madness. This has been a really bright color for me. I'm not a bright pink kind of person, but I thought it would be cute with this paper. It's one of the colors that matches this paper. Okay, let's see if I can get this straight. Yay! I'm always excited when I stamp straight. It's funny what makes us excited in the stamping world, huh? All right, so let me clean this. And then when I'm done with this card, I'm going to show you another version of this card that I did without using designer series paper. And I just stamped, but I used more, I used subtle colors instead of these. Even though this is an in color, it would probably be considered a bright. But I want to show you how it looks without using designer series paper and just stamping. All right, so again, I get my bottom and my right and left even, and then I just lay it down. All right, so I know that this is not as fancy as you guys are used to, right? But it's still really cute. See what cute cards you can make with just stamping without all the extra tools and stuff. So I don't want you guys to be intimidated and think that when you're first starting out that you've got to have every single thing to be able to make cute cards. So there's that one. And then I'm going to bring in this one I did in Blushing Bride. But see how much different that is? And this one I just stamped around. I did the same thing with the congratulations, used the bunny, and then same on the inside. All right, so two different looks, one using designer series paper, one using a little bit brighter ink, and then you have the just using, I mean, this one was just using the Blushing Bride cardstock and 2 pieces of Whisper White 4x5 1/4. But what do you guys think? Pretty cute, huh? Okay, so let's move on to our next one. Is no one commenting tonight? So either you guys hate them, or I know you guys are used to fancier cards from me, but like I said, I just want to show that someone who's a beginner stamper can do this with just stamping. All right, so the next card that we're going to do is using Highland Heather. Sorry, I'm trying to set something down. So I'm using Highland Heather, and then strips of the designer series paper. And of course, this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then 2 pieces of Whisper White, 4 by 5 1/4. And then just these little strips. And I believe this one is 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 by 5 1/4. And this one I believe is 1/2 by 4. All right, so that's what we're going to need for this one. So again, we're going to use this big stamp set. But even though I'm using Highland Heather in the background, the color that actually goes with this suite is Gorgeous Grape. But I kind of wanted some shading, so that's why I'm using the Granny Apple Green. Or, sorry, Granny Apple Green, the Highland Heather. Hey, Patty! So we're doing simple stamping tonight. All right, so we're going to come in and we're going to ink that up. And again, I try to get it lined up. All right, and I'm getting a glare, so I hope I get this down straight. I can't see the top of my paper. And it's a little cattywampus, but it should work for what I'm doing. Okay, so then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same technique. Oh, let me get this cleaned up. I'm going to use the same technique with our little sentiments from this stamp set, because I don't want the whole sentiment. So we're going to bring in this block again, which is block D. And I'm going to switch out the sentiments. So this time, we're going to use the one that says, so grateful to have. And it basically says, so grateful to have a friend like you. But, like I did on the other one, I'm going to take a Post-it note, because I only want the top of this. So I'm going to stick that down, ink it up. Remember to pull this off. Now I have to be careful, because I see how I got a little bit ink on I pushed down and got some ink there. So again, I'm going to try to be really careful and not push down too hard. But I want to get this up as high as I can without touching those flowers. So just a little bit of pressure. Perfect. All right, and that's going to go there. And then this has a bottom part of the flower that I haven't showed you yet. It's fun. So let's stick this back in there. And we're going to pull this one out, and I believe this one is going to go on a block C. Yes, block C. But again, I don't want, so I'm going to kind of measure and see. Yeah, because I think I don't want the bow to show. I just want where it's tied. So see where it's, I don't want the bow part of it to show. I just want the tied part. So we're going to do the same thing. Another Post-it note, and I could use smaller Post-it note here, but this is what I have. Okay, and then this time, because I want to make sure I get the ink on pretty light here, because sometimes this actually will leak through and get on underneath. If you put a lot of ink on it, it will leak through the Post-it note. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this in, and we're going to line that up as best we can and stick that down. Yay! That's what I wanted. And this way I've got the little saying going between basically the top and the bottom of the flower. And you'll notice that I didn't want the bow, so that was a good way to get that bow off, is use that masking technique. All right, and I did mess up because I was supposed to put this off to one side. I always do that. I always forget. I was supposed to stamp it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my cutter and cut part of this off on the right side of this flower. I'm going to trim this down. I should have had everything to the right, but because I wasn't paying attention, Go figure, me not paying attention. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this as close as I can to that, to those sides, and still keeping the whole flower on there. So that should work perfect. All right. And then I'll see if this works okay, because then I think I can put this piece here. And then this should go, yes, perfect. All right. All right, so now we're going to just add some designer series paper to make it look a little more ooh-ah. And this is another good reason to, you know, to look at purchasing designer series paper, because if you don't have all the fancy tools, or you just don't feel like pulling them out and you just want to make some quick cards, this is just such a good way to make quick cards. Oh, good, Shanine. I'm glad you like the masking technique. Yeah, it actually works out really good because you can just use parts of your stamp. The trick is to make sure you pull that Post-it note off, because I have messed up before. All right, and then you're just going to place that there. And that's going to be the front of it. So now we're going to do the inside. And the inside, again, I'm going to mask. Oh, I shouldn't have put that up. Why did I put that up? Huh. So now I want the other half of So Grateful, because now I want the bottom half, A Friend Like You. So again, we're going to bring in Post-it notes again. Post-it notes, you will find, are your best friends. Yes, Mel, you use your, yeah, this type of thing, when you're doing simple stamping, this is the perfect time to use your scraps for these little pieces like this. Okay, so I'm going to pull that off, and always pull your Post-it off pretty quick, because like I said, it will leak through, and then you'll have like some stuff still on here. Also, make sure that you're cleaning your stamps really good so that it doesn't leave a residue. All right, so then I'm just going to come in here. I'm lining that up with my graph paper. Okay, there we go. And it says A Friend Like You on the inside. And then we're going to just come in with our other little scrap here. And again, these types of cards, like Mel said, are perfect for using all those little scraps that you just can't force yourself to throw out. This is the time to do it. Okay, so we're going to stick that on there. Again, we're going to come in with our adhesive. Get that on the back. And do my little bottom left and right side here, and get that to lay down. So see how quick simple stamping is? And guys, these cards are still really cute. And you could add ribbon. You could add these little embellishments to it, but I'm just showing you simple stamping. This is for someone who wants to just buy the stamp set and then possibly the designer series paper, or use scraps for this. But you can see how if you would add some of these embellishments, that it would just make it, we call that stepping it up. So it would step it up just a bit, but you don't have to. This card is absolutely beautiful without anything but stamping. So see how pretty that is? Stamping and designer series paper. All right, let me clean this off. And then we're gonna already be on to our third card. Now our third card, like I said, I'm cheating just a little bit. Oh, Mel, I'm glad you like that one. I'm cheating just a bit on this last card because I wanted to do some watercoloring on this one. And so, so I have already pre-stamped and pre-colored in. So when you're doing watercolor, you either need to use the watercolor paper or this white shimmer paper, the shimmery white paper. And I don't know if you guys can see, it's got like a little, I don't think it's going to show up, but basically the reason is it holds the water better. Oh yeah, Pat likes purple. So does Brianna. Brianna likes purple too. So I went ahead and I used, so you guys know, I used the watercolor pencils assortment #2 for this last card. And again, I'm just stepping it up a little bit because it's not just stamping. But so I used the Flirty Flamingo, and I used the Balmy Blue, and then I used this Granny Apple Green. And I'll just kind of show you, I left this little part here. Let me kind of zoom in. I know I always do this so badly. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you, I'm not real careful when I'm using watercolor. So I basically just kind of, that's kind of how fast I did the whole thing. I just colored it in, and then I'm going to come in with our watercolor. These are the new watercolor painters, and they're pretty cool because they come in 3 different sizes. So they come in this, the big brush here, and then there's a medium, and I'm going to be using the fine tip. But I do want to tell you something about this that really threw me off. This really threw me off because most times when we're used to things turning off like lefty loosey, righty tighty, and this is when you're going to fill these up, it's the opposite way. So it actually turns, okay, that way to get it off. And then you're going to put it on this way. Oh, I guess that's right. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. That is right. Okay. So then again, with these watercolors, you just want to make sure, and I don't know if you can see that you've got a little bit of moisture. And then I'm going to come in, let me move this down so that you see. And I'm basically just touching the water to the flowers. And I'm going to do all the blue first because you try not to mix the colors. And like I said, I'm not real exact about how I do this. It's just basically kind of touching it and getting that color to blend. And I just scribble. I don't even like color in the flowers all the way. I just kind of, I put, and I'll bring, as soon as I'm done with the blue, I'll bring, before I do the Flirty Flamingo, let me finish up with the Balmy Blue, and then I'll bring it closer and show you that I don't color like, this is not exact coloring. You don't have to do exact coloring to make this work. You're just basically putting some color in there because you're going to let the water, the water painter do its work. So then I'm going to just brush it off. All right. And then, so let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see. So see how I just kind of scribbled? I didn't do, like, I didn't color. So like if you see this one right here, I just kind of scribbled it, the color on there. All right. And so again, I'm just going to come in with my water painter because I've brushed it off before I can't come in here. And I'm just going to touch all these little pink flowers and make that watercolor pencil blend with itself, basically. So when you're doing this, it moves it to the whole flower, even though I just kind of scribbled. And since I just did this one and I just showed it to you, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So see how remember how I had just kind of scribbled it, and look what happens when you put the water to it. It's so pretty. This watercoloring technique is just really fun. And that's why, even though this is like a step up from simple stamping, because you have to have more than just the ink and the stamp set, you've got to have the watercolor, the water painters and the watercolor pencils. I still wanted to show you this because I still kind of felt like this is a simple version of doing this card. Okay, then I'm going to touch it off. I'm going to get it a little bit wet, and then I'm just going to go through and I'm going to touch the green. Now, if you want darker colors, what you do is you just make it, you basically put more pressure and color it. Like when you're putting your pencil on here, see how the Granny Apple Green is very vibrant? It's because when I was applying it, I was pushing pretty hard with that pencil because I knew that I wanted that color to be really vibrant. So that's how you make it a little bit darker if you're wanting things to be darker, is you just push harder, and then that will make it darker. And watercoloring is not hard at all. It's like I said, it's just, you're just drawing things in, barely coloring it in. And so this, I'm just going to kind of, and you can see I'm not even following the lines. I'm just getting the water on there to try to blend all that in. Oops, I guess you guys didn't see that part down there. All right, so then I'm going to clean that off. And I'll bring this up so you can see it close up. So that's what it looks like once you add the water to it. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. All right. And then for this one, I am using, and of course, if you wanted the balmy blue to not be as dark blue as I had it, then you would color lighter. I really pushed hard on the balmy blue as well. And so that's what made it, sorry, you see my arm, I'm trying to, there we go, zoom back out. So the balmy blue is pretty dark because I pushed really hard on that when I was coloring it in. If you wanted it to be lighter, you would just barely color that in. Okay, so this one we have the balmy blue card base. And we have a 4x5 1/4 Whisper White, and then this was 4x5 1/4 of the Shimmer White. And then we need to do our stamping. So again, we're going to do our little, this time we're going to do a birthday card. And we're going to do our little masking technique. And I'm going to need my balmy blue ink. All right. So exactly what I've been showing you. So hopefully you guys are learning this masking technique because I've done it enough for you tonight. All right. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like this one. All right. So again, I'm just going to ink it up. And I got to be careful because I got ink down there again. So let's hope I can do that. So I want it to kind of do wishing you a on this side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure. Okay. And then I've got to clean this off really good because now I'm going to use the bottom part. Get rid of that. I kind of go through a lot of Post-it notes when I'm doing this masking technique, but I love it, so I don't mind it. But sometimes I do buy the smaller Post-it notes. And you got to kind of let that dry a little bit before you cover what you just washed off. Okay, so we're going to ink up the part that says happy birthday. And I've got it inked good. Pull that off quickly. And then I'm just going to turn this and try to line up my happy birthday kind of at the same angle. It's a little bit longer than the wishing you. All right, so look how cute that is when you put it on either side. Now I didn't get it lined up exactly perfect, but I still think it looks cute. So wishing you a happy birthday. Again, I don't think things have to be exactly perfect for it to look right. I know, of course I say that, but I have a daughter that would not like that because it's not symmetrical. But I don't think there was, you know, I probably could have pushed this up a little bit higher, but because this is longer, it still would have been a little off. And now we're going to just take this, put our adhesive on the back, stick it on our card front, stick that on there, and then on the inside, I'm going to bring in this fun set called Bloom and Grow. It's in the annual catalog, and you're gonna get to see me do some more watercolor, but I wanted to do the Let's Celebrate You. There it is. So we're gonna bring that in, and we're gonna put this on block D, and then bring in our Balmy Blue. Ink that up. Let's try to line it up so it's straight. Oh, I don't think I got that straight. Oh, I did. I didn't think I did. Okay, so that's going to stamp on there. And then this also has, or was it from, oh yeah. So let me clean that off. And then I'm going to go back to our hand-drawn blooms. And you'll notice, I mean, this is something I do quite a bit, where I mix and match sentiments with different stamp sets. Just to, you know, give it a little bit different look. So I'm going to use this flower out of this stamp set. And this one I'm using block B. And, oh gosh, I need to come in. I should have done this ahead of time. But you have to use Stays-On ink when you're watercoloring, because it doesn't smear. So your black memento ink is a water-based ink, and because of that, if you try to use watercolors with the black memento ink, it would blend the black as well. The Stays-On ink does not do that. So I'm going to put a little flower there and a little flower there. And then, of course, with the Stays-On ink, you do need to have that special Stays-On cleaner. Looks like this. And you just dab that on there. Whoops. And then grab a baby wipe and just dab it until that gets cleaned. And that you want to clean right away. That Stays-On ink will definitely stay on your stamp if you don't clean it right away. So, mental note, Stays-On ink, okay, you have to have it, you got to clean that right away. So let's stick that back over here. Move this out of the way, and now you're going to get to see my watercolor technique here when I'm coloring. So basically what I'm doing is, let me get a little bit closer. That is not what I wanted to do. All right. I know it's out of, there we go. Okay. So basically, because I want these to be highlighted, I'm putting more pressure here. But then the rest of this, I just lightly color. And that's how quick it is. And if you want it darker, you would just color it a little darker. Then I'm going to go up to this other flower, do the same thing. I'm putting a little more pressure right here because I want that to be darker. And then I'm just kind of scribbling. All right, that's how quick that is. Okay, so now let's go down here and making sure this is wet. You don't want it sopping wet, but you do want it wet. And I could have used the middle brush for this. This little one is going to take a little bit longer because it's tiny and for more detailed. So I'm basically just kind of spreading that around until the color blends all through the flower. And I'm actually going to bring in that medium one out of this set just because it's a little bit easier to use with this. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to add a little bit more. And again, I'm just scribbling. That's all I'm doing. Oh, I don't have enough water. So you squeeze it. There's actually a little thing here that says push. And so you just kind of push there until you get water coming out. But again, you don't want it sopping wet. You just want it damp. Now this is regular Whisper White. And so you may notice that it tends to kind of fold up a little bit, or I guess warp a little bit when you add water, but I wasn't doing a lot, so I figured it would be okay. All right, and then you just kind of want to let that dry a little bit. So let me zoom back out. Always the wrong way. Did you guys get a good look at my arm there? Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm just going to kind of let that dry just a bit. I actually just use tap water, Shanine, for this. I just fill it up with my tap water. So yeah, I mean, probably if you know that you have water that has a brown tint to it or an orange tint to it, you probably would not want to use your tap water, but mine is clear. But I have lived in a place before where I never noticed that my water had a little bit of a tint to it, but it did. And so if you're aware of that, then you would want to use like distilled water. All right, and then we just adhere that to the card. And then there's our last card. Fun, huh? Wishing you a happy birthday. Let's celebrate you. All right, so those are my 3 cards tonight with the simple stamping, and the this was the stamp set. Let me pull that up really quick. It's the hand-drawn blooms bundle. And of course the bundle comes with the die. So I'm actually going to pull in all of the cards that I've done with this bundle. And sweet, let me get stuff out of the way so I can get all the cards in here. So, but anyway, I just, I hope you guys learned that you don't have to have all the exact fun tools. I mean, yes, I love the tools. And they are great, but you don't have to have them to make fun, beautiful cards. All right, so this is the bundle, obviously. Let me get this out of the way now. And I'm just going to bring in all the cards that I did. These are the top ones are the simple stamping cards. Let me see if I can get everything in the... So these are my simple stamping cards. And then these were the ones that I used, that I made with the dies the other day. Remember these? With the rainbow paper. And so these are the ones with the dies. All right. So look at all the cards I got out of that bundle. I mean, that's amazing. This is such a fun bundle. And I did a lot of embossing on these and doing the die cuts at using the dies. But again, it's that big die. It cuts out really easily. And I did stamping on the inside. And anyway, just a beautiful, beautiful bundle. And it makes beautiful cards. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't worry about getting every single thing. I know it's exciting, and I know we get excited and we think that we have to have everything, but we can make beautiful cards with just simply stamping and doing those. So on Tuesday, I am going to be using, let me see if I have the bundle here so I can at least show it to you. I probably had it here, but, oh yeah. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be using this Autumn Goodness with the dies, and I will have a simple stamped card, and then one that's stepped up just a little bit, and then one that's completely using the dies. So this is definitely autumn themed, and so that's what I'm going to be working on Tuesday. So don't forget to tune in on Tuesday at 7 to see those. So does anybody have any questions on any of that? I think it was pretty simple. And again, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed. I have so much fun designing and sitting and playing with my stamp sets, but please don't ever be intimidated with all of the tools and pieces that you think that you need, because simple stamping is still a beautiful way to send somebody a card and let them know that you're thinking of them. So I hope you enjoyed the cards tonight, and I will be talking to all of you soon. Bye.